Welcome to your deep dive. So today we're diving into, well, fandom, big time. We've got this review of The Rings of Power, Season 2, Episode 7. And someone needed to hold this reviewer back.
Yeah, they had some thoughts. It's wild how this one review, it's like a mini version of what's going on everywhere when these stories, especially ones people love like Tolkien, get adapted.
Right, this review, it's like fandom 101, pure passion. I mean, listen to these words. Repugnant, vomitivo, horrendo, esperpento. Clearly, this episode, particularly Elrond and Galadriel, hit a nerve. What do you think's going on there on like a deeper level?
It shows how much these stories mean to people. This isn't just about, stuff happening on screen. It's messing with how they see the characters, the whole world. Imagine your favorite historical figures like suddenly doing the tango. It'd be jarring.
Exactly. You said it perfectly. And it's so interesting how they use like Tolkien facts to back up their critique, almost like, hold on, show, I'm fact checking you.
Right. They even bring up that Galadriel's practically Elrond's like grandmother-in-law in the books. Even mention how the movies messed that up a bit by sidelining Celeborn, her husband. This viewer, they did their Tolkien homework.
It's like they're saying, hey, I came prepared and this doesn't add up. And this whole doing your homework thing, it makes me think about them using the term fanfic almost to like put down the show's take. Why do you think that is?
It's like there's this ranking, right? Like fan-made stuff is, I don't know, less important than the official story. But, and here's the irony, it also shows how dedicated these fans are. They're not just watching, they're in deep, making their own versions, and yeah, sometimes writing it as fan fiction.
It's like they're so invested, they're practically part of the creative team.
Speaking of creative choices, the reviewer, they weren't thrilled with Sauron this episode, specifically him not being able to forge the rings alone. They even point out how it seemed like Sauron was the one pulling Celebrimbor's strings all along. So like, why the elaborate act of Sauron so powerful? Now that's a good question, and it gets at something big in Tolkien. What is power? Is Sauron's just like him? Or does he get it from something else that might have limits? The show might be playing with that, which maybe is why some fans aren't happy.
So, like, finding out Darth Vader needs reading glasses to build the Death Star kind of ruins the image. Are we saying the show might be messing with something fundamental about Sauron that fans love?
It's possible. And this is where adapting gets tricky. Something small can be a huge deal, especially for diehard fans. Is staying true to those details, like, important for you when you watch an adaptation?
Oh, absolutely. Especially if the change feels like it's changing, like the whole point of the character or the story. But wow, look at us already going deep on Sauron's power. We should probably move on to some other stuff the reviewer brought up, like all those inconsistencies.
It's like the show threw this curveball, and now everyone's trying to decide, was that on purpose or just a mistake?
And speaking of curveballs, the reviewer had a few inconsistencies they pointed out, like the orcs fighting in broad daylight. Right. Like, someone forgot to tell the orcs sunlight's bad for them. And they even mentioned, like, many weren't even wearing helmets. Which, in a show this detail-oriented, seems like a big miss. You think maybe they were so focused on making it look cool that they kind of, I don't know, forgot Tolkien's rules a bit?
It's interesting, right? Because some people, they might not care. But for others, especially real Tolkien fans, it's like, wait, hold on. It's like watching a historical drama and everyone's got cell phones. Just throws you out of it.
Totally. That consistency, the attention to detail, it makes the world believable, even if you're changing other stuff. It's about, like, trust between the people telling the story and us watching.
Yeah.
And speaking of trust, or maybe not, the reviewer, totally unfazed by the archer and Arondir dying. They even said they, like, didn't care.
And that, as harsh as it sounds, tells you a lot about what makes a character's death hit you hard. It's not just about them dying. It's the journey we took with them, how much we're invested. If that connection isn't there, the death's just meh.
It's that saying, kill your darlings, but only after the audience loves them. And that's going to be tough in adaptations, right? Balancing staying true to the original and making a new audience care. Did the show even give those characters enough time for us to connect? I don't know.
It's a tough one. And it brings up another point from the reviewer I thought was smart. Comparing the episode to an empty gift box.
Oh, right, the empty gift box. It's like you open this present, looks amazing, ribbons, everything, and inside, nothing.
Exactly, that feeling of, wait, what? Like you expected more. That seems to be like the core of their problem with it. They admit it looks amazing, but for them it's missing something. All style, no substance.
Makes you wonder, can a show, even one this visually stunning, really work if it's just pretty? Or does it need a good story, too? What do you think? Does the story always win? It's like the age-old question, right? Do we want flashy or filling? And in this case, our reviewer, they seem to want something more than just a pretty picture.
And that's where that gift box thing, it really hits home. It's like a broken promise. You're promised this amazing meal, but your plate's empty. Might be a nice plate, but you're still hungry.
Totally. Which brings us back to adaptations. It's not just about copying, it's about capturing what makes the original special. Like covering a song, you can hit every note, but without that feeling, it's just karaoke.
Exactly. And that's what makes this review so interesting. It's not just complaining. It's like this cry from the heart. This
Mhm.
person, they're clearly all in on Tolkien, and their disappointment, it comes from that love.
It's like, hey, I care about this world, so get it right. It reminds us fans they're not just watching, they're invested, bringing their knowledge, their passion, and yeah, even their anger.
And maybe that's how you know an adaptation worked. It gets people riled up, even if they don't like it. This review, with all its criticisms, it shows how powerful Tolkien's work is, how it still brings people together.
So well said. So it seems like adapting something everyone loves, it's a real balancing act. Respecting the original, but taking chances. And never, ever underestimating how much the fans care. What do you think? Can you ever make everyone happy? Or is someone always going to be upset when you mess with something they love? Think about it. Until next time, happy diving.